Hi there, and welcome to Sensory Regulation Training brought to you by Ironwood Springs Christian Ranch. First, we would like to thank you for choosing to serve at Ironwood and for taking the time to complete this training to provide the best possible, unforgettable camp experiences for our guests. We have created this training to provide you and our campers with additional support in the area of sensory processing and self-regulation. It will help you to better understand our campers and their experiences, and will provide you with a better experience as well. Through this training, you will learn who will be served and how to best serve them at Ironwood, common camper diagnoses and how they might impact campers, about sensory processing, dysregulation, and self-regulation, how to support campers' self-regulation strategies that can be used and their use during transitions, the importance of providing closure to camp activities, the freedom of choice provided to campers, and the importance of your positive mindset. To start, let's learn more about what Connectabilities Camp is. It is a family-based, day or overnight camp experience for individuals who live with cognitive disabilities and their families and/or caregivers to come and enjoy shared experiences. It serves between 23 and 38 families per camp, with 2 camps in the summer and winter, and 1 in the fall. Please ensure to reinforce that there is no need for guests to apologize for their children's behaviors during their time here. This is a safe space where families can come, relax, and be accepted for who they are. That being said, we also want to make sure that there is an emphasis on the abilities part of the word disabilities. We are here to focus on the unique and amazing personalities of our guests and on their gifts that they have. Most of our guests at this camp live with Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, or autism spectrum disorder. However, this list is not exhaustive, and camper diagnoses are widespread. Since these 3 diagnoses that I have just listed are the most common diagnoses experienced by campers here at Ironwood and are most affected by sensory challenges, we will be focusing on these 3 diagnoses for this presentation. To better understand our campers, we must first gather a basic understanding of these various diagnoses and what they might mean for our campers. For example, Down syndrome occurs when a camper has an extra, either full or partial, chromosome 21, and their thinking, learning, and development may also be impacted. Meanwhile, cerebral palsy affects the brain and muscles. Cerebral refers to the brain, while palsy refers to weakness or atypical functioning of the muscles. Therefore, campers with a diagnosis of cerebral palsy may experience challenges with movement and posture. Perhaps this might involve stiff muscles, uncontrolled movements, poor balance and coordination, or general weakness. It may also impact a camper's intellect, vision, hearing, speech, joints, and spine. From one camper to the next, the severity and associated symptoms may vary. Symptoms may even vary over time for one person. However, it is not a progressive diagnosis in that the symptoms that a camper experiences do not become worse over time. Finally, we will discuss autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, which accounts for the most prevalent diagnosis for our campers at our Connectabilities camps. It also is the most impacted of the 3 diagnoses discussed by sensory regulation challenges. For this reason, much of the information to come will be discussed and focused on the diagnosis of autism, though these experiences can happen to any camper or guest, regardless of any diagnosis at all. In fact, everyone experiences sensory challenges at some level during their life. Autism affects the brain and can affect people's social lives as well as how they behave. Some atypical behaviors that are commonly seen among individuals with an autism diagnosis include poor eye contact, avoidance of social experiences, challenges showing emotions in a socially appropriate manner, not speaking or speaking slowly, and other behaviors that are considered non-typical in our society. Challenging behaviors often occur subconsciously, with the brain generating a reaction without the camper even thinking about or recognizing their actions first. It is important to note that these behaviors are not bad and that campers with autism do not need a cure. They simply may benefit from accommodations to increase their success in engaging in activities at camp and improving their overall camp experience. With an autism diagnosis, it is common for individuals to either have difficulty recognizing what is going on around them or being extremely aware of what is going on around them. They may experience both of these extremes as well, depending on the experience and what information they are getting from their senses, which include sound, sight, smell, touch, taste, movement, and body awareness. How we process what is going on around us and these sensory experiences are called sensory processing. Challenges with processing this information can make campers come off as impulsive, hyperactive, and/or distracted. However, it may just be that they are trying to deal with not getting enough or getting too much from their environment. It is important to know that while individuals who live with autism generally have more difficulty processing what is going on around them appropriately, this is possible without any diagnosis and can be experienced by anyone. The emotional or behavioral responses that occur when campers have difficulty with sensory processing occur due to not feeling calm. It may result in a lack of or decreased engagement in activities. The reason why campers might experience this vary from person to person, depending on what sensory experiences they are sensitive or insensitive to. It is important to note that we cannot always determine what it is that is resulting in a camper being dysregulated. However, we can try to help by incorporating some self-regulation tools while they are at camp. Self-regulation skills are skills that can be taught and can be incorporated to help campers get back to a calm state. Many of our campers and/or their caregivers, guardians, or parents will already have these skills and will often know how to best implement these strategies, as they know that particular camper best. However, this is not always the case. Therefore, it is important that we equip you with the knowledge on this topic so that you, along with help from staff, can provide some support should the camper, parent, guardian, or caregiver request or accept your support. At this time, literature supports physical and/or mental exercises as being the most effective self-regulation strategies. Exercise that incorporates both of these components at the same time have been found to be particularly effective. For example, incorporating movement along with mindfulness can be extremely beneficial to returning back to a calm state. Mindfulness is where we focus on the present, including where one is and what they are doing in a particular moment. This might include thinking about how each body part feels or what it is that it is doing in a particular moment. It helps to really understand what you are feeling in that present moment and to focus on your body or environment rather on whatever it is that is overwhelming you. It can also involve breathing and listening to one's body. For example, if a particular movement feels good or bad, you can alter it to do it as long as it feels good for you, and you can change up what you are doing accordingly. This is great for campers to gain additional information from the environment through movement, body awareness, focusing on sights, smells, or other sensory experiences, or dampening the other experiences that are overwhelming. This can even sort of happen with practice without even thinking about it, which is great for children as they learn how to self-regulate and handle their behavioral and emotional experiences. So, how do we do this with children and keep them interested? We make it fun. We use bubbles, have them use their finger as a fake birthday candle and blow it out, use pinwheels, pretend to be a tree and focus on staying balanced and the sensations that the body feels. For example, what does it feel like for your feet, your legs, your arms? We use these creative means to help incorporate deep breathing, mental exercises, and physical exercises in a more exciting way. Remember that while it is more common for children who live with autism to experience challenges with self-regulation, everyone experiences these challenges at some level. Some common ways that you might see campers with autism Already incorporating these self-regulation strategies into their lives include through pacing, rocking, humming, hand flapping, and repeating words, phrases, or sounds. It is important that you know what these behaviors look like and that you recognize them as self-regulating behaviors. As long as they are not putting themselves or others in danger, please let them engage in these types of self-regulating behaviors. Always put safety first and notify nearby staff immediately so that additional assistance can be provided as needed. In addition to it generally being more common for individuals who live with autism to experience challenges processing information from their environment, just think about all of the information that campers are getting during their time here. Additionally, some spaces and experiences are completely new to these campers, which can be overwhelming for anyone, but especially overwhelming for someone who is extremely sensitive to the information that they receive from their senses. For example, think of all of the smells and touches around camp, like animals, flowers, gravel, plants, grass, trees, etc. Sights like birds, flowers, plants, trees, rocks, clouds, games, animals, and other people. Tastes and smells like camp meals and snacks, and all of the other input that they are getting from various senses through activities they choose to participate in. While the many sensory experiences that camp provides can be overwhelming for some campers, it can be calming for others. As previously mentioned, some campers may need more from their environment, while others may need less than the typical population. In this way, the outdoors provide many experiences that can be used to self-regulate, such as through the use of different outdoor experiences and activities, and focusing or redirecting from certain sensory experiences in the environment. In addition to using the outdoors for self-regulation of campers, providing support during times of transition can be particularly helpful. For example, the use of a visual schedule that shows the activities for the day and using check marks along the side of those activities as they are completed can be helpful. It can show them what they are going to do now and what is going to come after those events. A first-then schedule can be helpful for just providing what is happening now and what is happening next as well if a whole visual schedule of the day is too overwhelming. This can also help them look forward to doing a different activity if the one that they are currently at is not as exciting to them, or if they really like the activity that they are at, it can help them to recognize that there are other activities that they might participate in during their time at camp. Should you choose not to use either of these methods, there's also a free visual timer app on a cell phone that can be used where it counts down the time left of an activity. If you don't prefer this method, you can simply provide a time or number of turns left warning so that the campers have time to prepare for the transition. It is important to note that campers can choose which activities they engage in. Please do feel free to provide encouragement for a camper to try new activities and to even just watch others engage in the activity. However, it is important that you remind them that you will never force them to do anything. Simply provide encouragement and then let them make the best decisions for themselves. Again, when it comes to providing self-regulation strategies, please first make sure that you allow the parents, guardians, caregivers, siblings, and/or campers first attempt to utilize self-regulation tools. If they demonstrate difficulty helping the camper self-regulate, feel free to ask them if you could support them in any way. If they say no, please respect their wishes. If they say that they would like for you to support them, please ask for assistance from nearby staff and provide such support if you are comfortable doing so. In addition to the self-regulation strategies that we have provided you with, such as physical and mental exercise, please also consider attempting to redirect the camper. Redirecting means that you help them to think about something other than what it is that is making them not feel calm. Essentially, it is anything that helps divert their attention from what it is that they are currently doing onto something else so that they can focus on something other than what it is that is making them overwhelmed. It can also be helpful for transitioning from one activity or space to another. An example of this might be a camper who does not want to stop swimming. He may be screaming and refusing to get out of the pool despite his mother's request for him to do so. If your request to provide support in this situation is accepted, You might show him a cool ball or other toy outside of the pool and can start to bring it with you to a different location or activity. By changing his focus onto that activity, the camper will likely get out of the pool and will have diverted his attention to something else. This can be a subtle way to help with self-regulation of these emotions and or during difficult transitions. The best option is to first try 2 to 3 self-regulating tools at an activity or location. If you are unsuccessful, you may utilize the sensory bag or sensory room that Ironwood provides. If attempts to utilize self-regulation strategies are unsuccessful, sensory bags are available to all campers. These bags are checked out to campers to use during their time here to provide mobile sensory experiences to help with self-regulation. Should they choose, they may purchase this bag for $40 and keep it at the end of their time at camp. Within this bag are fidget spinners and cubes, noise-canceling headphones, poppets, sunglasses, and other tools for providing sensory stimulation. These items can either increase or decrease the sensory experiences for campers, helping them to keep a more calm state. In a similar manner, the sensory room can be utilized as a space where campers can increase or decrease whatever they are experiencing in the environment through their senses. This happens through providing calming videos, sounds, and sights, as well as providing dimmable lighting options and objects of various textures and sounds that can be manipulated. It also provides a space where campers can engage in regulating movement in a more private space. However, there may still be other campers in the room, and the safety of everyone should be of greatest priority at all times. This is located in the basement of the Miracle Lodge to the right of the elevator as you exit. It should be used for campers who are dysregulated despite attempts to utilize 2 to 3 of the self-regulation strategies that were previously mentioned, as well as having already attempted to utilize the sensory bag. The purpose is to attempt to keep children in their environments and to avoid adding additional transitions for them by having them go to the sensory room. However, sometimes this type of space is necessary, and as such, it should be utilized whenever needed. Despite sensory challenges that may arise, supporting the closure of camper activities during their time here is important. That is not to say that the camper must finish an activity or that there are not situations in which it may not be appropriate to do so. However, if the camper is not a safety threat to oneself or others, please try to support them in obtaining closure from the activities that they engage in. To help provide closure to an activity, you might decrease the number of turns left at an activity. If that is too much for the camper, consider having them watch others for a certain period of time before they leave the activity or space. This is important to avoid building up tension that can otherwise result in the fight, flight, or freeze reactions from the body that can occur without a true trigger or reason. Fight mode refers to when a camper can possibly become aggressive, scream, or have other types of similar reactions, while flight mode is when a camper may run away or hide. Meanwhile, freeze mode is when a camper no longer engages or demonstrates any interest in an activity that they were previously engaged in. These reactions may demonstrate as dysregulation and can impact a camper's experience. Therefore, attempting to provide closure, so long as it is safe to do so, can be beneficial. During your time at camp, you may see some or none of these behaviors. However, to best prepare you, this training and potential examples of what you might see at camp is essential. To do so, various scenarios with answers to follow will be provided. Please pause your video should you need more time to consider possible answers to the questions posed. To help frame these questions, in every example, the following is true. The camper is able to verbally communicate. The parent, sibling, guardian, or caregiver of the camper is not present or has asked for your assistance. And there are many potential reasons why a child may be dysregulated, as well as many strategies that may be useful in such scenarios. There is no right or wrong answer, but rather many possibilities to be considered. Camper scenario number 1. Jane walks into the riverside room and immediately begins closing her eyes and flapping her hands. A. Which of these senses might Jane be getting too much of? Sight, sound, smell, taste, and/or touch or other senses? B. What could you do to help Jane? Jane may be seeking less sight and/or sound input. To help Jane, you might consider helping her to do some deep breathing by blowing bubbles, a pinwheel, or fake birthday candles using her finger, redirecting her to think about something else, asking for the lights to be either turned off or down, reminding her that she can utilize the sunglasses in her sensory bag, or a variety of other options. Camper scenario number 2. Julie is having difficulty staying in line for ziplining. A. What senses in her environment might be overwhelming for her? Sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touch, etc. B. What are some ways you might help Julie stay in line? Julie may be getting too much information from the sounds, sights, movements, and/or possible touch. For example, perhaps she does not like the feeling of the harness on her. Perhaps it is too loud or too many people are moving around, or the sight of others ziplining is simply too much. She may be also worried about the movement. For example, maybe she is afraid of how fast the zipline will go, or maybe she needs more movement at that time rather than being in a standing position in line. You might help her by redirecting her, reminding her that she has sunglasses and noise-canceling headphones, having her dance, jump, or do other exercises, or maybe even singing a song. Of course, which of these you would do depend on what she is getting too much or not enough of from her environment. You could determine this by asking her if there's anything bothering her if she is able to tell you. Otherwise, you might use trial and error to see what strategies work for her. Use your best judgment and try your best. It is okay if these strategies don't work. They don't always work, and we don't always know exactly what the child needs. What matters is that we provide support and try to make this experience the best that it can be for the campers and their families. Camper scenario number 3. Jacob loves petting horses at the animal farm and will not move on to another activity. A. Which of these senses might Jacob be seeking more of? Sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touch, etc. B. What might you do to help him transition to the next activity? Jacob might be seeking more from the sights, smells, touch, or movement around him. To support him in transitioning to the next activity, you might bring out a fidget or other textured object that might interest him and get him to start moving away from the horses. You might suggest playing I Spy or I Smell as you walk towards another activity. You might suggest movement towards the next activity, like galloping like a horse, or other activities as you move on to the next activity. As a knowledge check, let's review what we've learned. First, it is important that you, our staff, and our guests stay safe at camp. Please always make this your top priority. Let campers engage in behaviors that are self-regulating for them, even if it may be distracting to others. They are important for that camper to stay calm and engaged. It is not always possible to determine what it is that a camper needs, and that is okay. Remember, we are not trying to cure them, and that this is not a curable diagnosis. Rather, we are trying to find accommodations to make this experience as enjoyable for them and to allow them new experiences and friendships. Focus on the abilities part of the word disabilities. Your positive mindset is essential to making the best possible experience out of this camp for yourself, our guests, staff, and campers. If we focus on the campers' areas of strength and what they are able to do, their experiences are going to be unforgettable and life-changing. As a supplement to this training, please consider reading the Sensory Regulation Training Manual that is linked on the Ironwood Springs Christian Ranch website. Again, we thank you so much for choosing to be an ambassador for Christ in Ironwood Springs. Our staff, campers, and families are immeasurably blessed by your support. We look forward to seeing you and serving with you soon.